going to cover one more story today. And let me bring it up. Here we go. So this is from the Daily Wire. Okay. And this is where, we began with this reference. And then we went on the path of Israel and Iran. And now I'm going to share with this. Okay. It's Daily Wire. Okay. It's about Trump's pardons. So here we go. The Daily Wire reports they should not have been prosecuted. Trump pardons 23 pro-lifers targeted by Biden DOJ. You know what? I didn't know about this. I heard a little bit, but I didn't realize the extent of it. And I think that's why, again, when I find something that shocks me, I'm like, and I think I pay attention to things. I said, I better point this out because, again, as Trump moves forward and these executive orders kind of clean up the mess as fast as possible in order for him to launch forward, we have to remember what the situation was that he found himself in. This is a great honor to sign this, the president said. This is by Mary Margaret Olahan and Leif Lee Mahu. This is January 23rd, 2025, Daily Wire. Okay? President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday pardoning 23 of the pro-life activists targeted by President Joe Biden's Justice Department. They should not have been prosecuted, Trump said as he signed the order. Many of them are elderly people. They should not have been prosecuted. This is a great honor to sign this. The pardons are for 23 peaceful pro-life protesters who were prosecuted by the Biden administration for exercising their First Amendment rights. They were prosecuted under the FACE, F-A-C-E Act, and a Reconstruction-era felony conspiracy charge first used for the first time against pro-life activists by the Biden administration. The Thomas More Society, the law firm representing the activists, had asked Trump to pardon 21 pro-lifers. And they got the names. I'm not going to read them all. Today, freedom rings in our great nation, said Steve Crampton, senior counsel for the Thomas More Society. The heroic, peaceful pro-lifers unjustly imprisoned by Biden's Justice Department will now be freed and able to return home to their families, eat a family meal, and enjoy the freedom that should have never been taken from them in the first place. Listen to this. This is really crazy. Peter Breen, the executive vice president of the firm, added, "Today is a new day for the pardoned pro-life activists who had suffered FBI raids, federal prosecutions, and severe punishment for peacefully and courageously witnessing for life. We thank President Trump for keeping his promise to these pro-life mothers, fathers, grandparents, pastors, and priests. What happened to these peaceful pro-life individuals must never happen again," he said in the statement. "We urge Congress to act swiftly in repealing the FACE Act to make sure that the Justice Department can never again weaponize this law to target peaceful pro-lifers with severe charges." Listen to what they did to these people. And then remember the riots, right? Over the Black Lives Matter riots and the Antifa riots and how much destruction, and not prosecuted. And these people were. Many of those pardoned were convicted multiple times in trials in Washington, D.C., Nashville, Manhattan, and Detroit. While sentencing has not been completed in each case, several pro-lifers were already serving lengthy prison sentences. In D.C., a group of pro-life protesters sang songs, prayed, locked arms in front of the facility's staff entrance, and attached themselves with ropes and chains to block doors inside the infamous Surgery Clinic in October 2020, a late-term abortion facility. Those who were imprisoned over the D.C. protests include Lauren Handy, 57 months in prison. 57 months. John Hinshaw, 21 months. William Goodman, 27 months. Jonathan Darnell, 34 months. Herb Geraghty, 27 months. Gene Marshall, 24 months. Joan Bell, 27 months. Paulette Harlow, 24 months. And Heather Idoni, 24 months. In Tennessee, a group of pro-life Christians gathered in a hall outside the Carafem Health Center in Mount Juliet, where they sang hymns, prayed, and urged women not to get abortion in March 2021. Calvin Zastrow, 63, is currently serving a 6-month sentence over the protests, and 75-year-old Chester Gallagher was sentenced to 16 months, though he has not yet to report to prison. In New York, Beverly Williams, this is crazy. In New York, Beverly Betty Williams was sentenced to serve 41 months in prison. 41 months in prison after she was convicted of violating the FACE Act after she blocked the entrance to an abortion facility in Manhattan. They were blocking entrances. They weren't violent. The pardon should also bring relief to those who were awaiting sentencing. Listen to this. This is incredible. Including 89-year-old Eva Edel. 89-year-old. She's awaiting sentencing. 89-year-old. Listen to this. Eva Edel, who survived a World War II era Yugoslavian concentration camp, was convicted in both Nashville and Detroit and could have been sentenced to over a decade in prison over her convictions on FACE and felony conspiracy charge. Do you see how these stories that I really do love our Lord? I love that he inspires. And there it is. So as we go into the direct story about the news and Trump pardoning these peaceful pro-life protesters who received outrageous prison terms, when so many other crimes we can list don't even get prosecuted by Soros-type DAs, and these people are being put in jail, that one of the women that was pardoned, who has been waiting sentencing, is an 89-year-old. And here's the connection to the rest of the day, who survived a World War II era Yugoslavian concentration camp. It's crazy. When passed in 1994, the FACE Act was supposed to protect both churches and clinics, but the law has almost exclusively been used to prosecute pro-lifers. Data obtained by ROI shows that 97% of FACE Act cases brought by the Justice Department have been against pro-life Americans. 97%. So they were supposed to protect the clinics and the churches. Okay? But 97% of FACE Act cases brought by the Justice Department have been against pro-life Americans. Senator Mike Lee, great Senator Mike Lee, Republican Utah, and Chip Roy, Republican Texas, renewed an effort to repeal the FACE Act this week, pointing out how it has been disproportionately used against pro-lifers. Outrageous. Disgusting. The Justice Department of the Biden is just disgusting. The response to the pardons has already been positive, with Republican lawmakers and conservative activists praising the decision. This is why we need this, guys. So when this comes in front of Congress and we hear about it, we have some context. So we need to repeal this, okay? Mike Lee and Chip Roy, an effort to repeal the FACE Act this week. President Trump's pardon today of pro-life activists unjustly imprisoned under President Biden is a great credit to his legacy. Catholic Votes, Tommy Valentine said. We hope he will go a step further in undoing Biden's unjust legacy. So Catholic, that's what he calls himself. Legacy by directing his Department of Justice to evenly enforce FACE Act for as long as it is on the books. So if it's on the books, they're saying to enforce it evenly against violent pro-abortion extremists who have been attacking pregnancy resource centers and churches for years. See, 97% was against pro-life people, not using it to prosecute pro-abortion extremists who have been attacking pregnancy resource centers and churches for years. The news came shortly after the Daily Wire reported that Trump would pardon the pro-life activists within a matter of days. The plight of the imprisoned pro-lifers is an immediate priority to Trump's team. Two sources with knowledge of the matter shared with the Daily Wire. Friday is the 53rd annual March for Life, where Vice President J.D. Vance, don't you love to hear that? Vice President J.D. Vance will publicly speak for the first time since he was sworn into office, as the Daily Wire first reported on Thursday. All right? So there you go. I want to give some credit to the Thomas More Society because these are kind of organizations out there that go under the radar, you don't hear about. And then, things like this happen, and they've been fighting. So I looked them up this morning because they're kind of organizations like this. I'm not fully into. I only looked them up a little bit, So I share it with you, and you're free to look at them more closely. Certainly seems like a great organization, and so it's important when we support either through reading articles or when it comes to nonprofits donating, giving charity. It's important to know that there are great organizations out here. So this organization, let me pull it up. It's the Thomas More Society, and let me just share it with you because I want to give them a nod. So here we go. This is the Thomas More Society, and President Trump pardons 23 pro-lifers targeted by Biden Justice Department under the FACE Act. Okay, so they have the same news story, but this is their society. They're the ones who advocating. They're a group of lawyers, and they offer services to people who are pro-life and protesting and any legal help they may need. And the other part that I want to share with you is they have a great video about the founding, but they also talk about who Thomas More is. And let's look at Thomas More for a second. Let's look at some history, okay? Let's because Thomas More is somebody that it's let's see there. Okay, there he is. Okay, so Thomas More Society is named after Thomas More. He's a saint, and Thomas More is somebody that we should talk to about with our kids. Man for All Seasons was the great play written about his life. And my daughter went to watch that play last year. They read the book, they read the play, and then they went to see the book. They read the book, they went to see the play, and she was really impressed. But let's look at Thomas More for a second, who they named it after. Okay, Sir Thomas More, defender of religious liberty and patron saint of lawyers. St. Thomas More was born in London. As the son of a lawyer, he followed in his father's footsteps, becoming a skilled attorney himself. He was also a deeply pious Catholic and an accomplished philosopher. Recognized for his talents, More served Henry VIII as Lord High Chancellor of England from 1529 to 1533. Despite his demanding career, More remained a devoted father, writing thoughtful letters to his children and overseeing their education. More opposed Henry VIII's separation from the Catholic Church, proclaiming himself the good king's servant, but God's first. There it is. First things first. Proper ordering of things, right? What you must order your life. What comes God is first. Then, okay, king's servant, husband, God first, God. More refused to take the oath of supremacy. In response, the king imprisoned him, tried him for treason, and sentenced him to death. While hundreds of other noblemen sided with the king to save their own lives, More would not betray his conscience, and he was executed. He was beheaded. Canonization by Pope Pius XI and canonized by Pope Pius XI in 1935, More is now the patron saint of lawyers. He continues to inspire our mission to defend truth, justice, and the rights of conscience, just as he did centuries ago. So there it is. There's a living, breathing organization named after a true saint whose conscience, he wouldn't go against his conscience. He wasn't going to go against God. He believed in papal supremacy in the Catholic Church and Henry VIII breaking away and starting his own church and naming himself the head of the Church of England, was something that More couldn't go with. And there's a very famous, I don't have it up here, but if you want to take a second to look it up, there's a letter that More writes to his daughter right before he's executed. And it's really quite something. The fortitude of this, the strength, we don't see this as much anymore, right? He was, we do see people die for their causes, right? But this the temptation just to give in, right? But he didn't. He went to his death because the good king's servant, but God's first.